I dare you to comment down below who would be your #1 draft pick in this draft. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today I am playing WWE 2K20 Universe mode, but I only draft my action figures. Real quick side note, if I slur any words during this video, I did take some Orajel because my teeth are killing me in the back of my mouth, and I cannot stand the pain, so I numbed my mouth a little bit before this video. Hopefully, I'm alright when it comes to the pronunciation, if you will. But if you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button today because 1 is absolutely free and 2 you don't subscribe at any point in the future. And can we hit 500 likes on this video? I think we can. Now, as you guys know, I am a big fan of WWE or just wrestling action figures in general. I have so many. We got the arena in the back, if you will. And today, I am going to be combining my two loves, wrestling action figures and wrestling video games. I can only draft somebody to my WWE 2K20 Universe mode roster if I have their action figure. So, for example, my #1 draft pick is Brock Lesnar, and I have this Jack's Ruthless Aggression Brock Lesnar. I'm not sure actually if this Brock Lesnar is the off the ropes Brock Lesnar or if it's the Jack's Ruthless Aggression Series 1 Brock Lesnar. Nevertheless, though, Brock Lesnar is the #1 draft pick here today. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, The Rock is my #2 pick, and I only have this R3 Jax Rock right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick The Rock with the hair in WWE 2K20. Now, on the women's side of things, I have yet to really build up my women's roster in my Fig Fed. I really haven't spent too much money on that side of things because, let's be honest here, Kairi Sane cost $80, and that is insane. I mean, I want Kairi Sane, but I don't know if I can just toss $80 like that towards Kairi Sane's Elite on eBay. Make sure you watch this video a couple times so I can afford it. Nevertheless, the #1 draft pick on the women's side of things is going to be Alexa Bliss. And this is probably one of my favorite Alexa Bliss figures, honestly. It's her NXT red, white, and black figure that was a part of Blake and Murphy Factor, I believe was the tag name. And the last female pick, because I only have a few women wrestlers in my figure collection at the moment, which is going to change very soon because I'm picking up Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, Rhea Ripley, Shotzi whenever Shotzi gets a figure, etc., etc. So many people I still need to pick up in my collection now that I restarted. But today, in the present time, I only have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to draft Charlotte Flair 17 to my roster. Up next, I have this oh so busted up Randy Orton Elite. I got this Elite in the Mattel All-Stars 2-pack with Jake the Snake Roberts. That tells you how old this Randy Orton pack is. I remember picking this thing up from Target. No, Toys R Us, excuse me, because I was so happy to get the Jake the Snake figure because of the bag, because I would pull up aluminum foil, rip it up, put it in the balls, and make it thumbtacks and put it into the bag. But Randy Orton is our next draft pick here today. For my next draft pick, I'm taking your American hero, Kurt Angle. So in game, I'm going to take Kurt Angle 2001 because I only have this Mattel Entrance Great Kurt Angle in my hands. For my next pick, I'm going to take Evan Bourne, aka Matt Sydal. This is honestly one of my favorite figures that I own, man. This Elite of Evan Bourne is so freaking cool, especially when you pair it with my next pick in the draft, Kofi Kingston. This is the matching Elite attire to that Evan Bourne figure that I just showed. This is actually one of my most recent purchases of WWE action figures. I scooped this Kofi Kingston up because I love teaming up Air Boom. The next figure is quite possibly my most prized possession when it comes to WWE action figures. This is the most money I've ever spent on one individual figure, Cassius. Oh no, I had to scoop Cassius's figure off of eBay the moment that I had the chance to last year. It cost, I believe, around $93, shockingly. And I had to spend it. I mean, he's my favorite wrestler of all time. I say it all the time. Everybody has their Stone Colds, their Rocks, their Eddie Guerreros. I have Chris Hero. I had to take Cassius Ohno, and today he is being drafted in the draft. While we're at it, let's go ahead and draft the cleaner Kenny Omega. That's right, the AEW Unrivaled Series 1 Kenny Omega figure is one of my favorite figures I've recently got. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kenny Omega in this WWE 2K20 Universe Mode draft. Up next, we got Stuart, aka W3A's favorite figure of all time. We got Samoa Joe, the TNA Toy Biz figure. And let me tell you, man, at the time of release for this Samoa Joe TNA Toy Biz, it was one of the only TNA figures that was actually in scale with the WWE Jax Ruthless Aggression figures. This figure and I believe AJ Styles were the only two. And at the time, having Samoa Joe and AJ Styles in your Fig Fed back in 2005 was the coolest thing ever. Up next, one of my favorite figures in my collection, without a doubt, has to be Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee. Big RIP, man, to Big Rig. One of my favorite big men in pro wrestling history, and I'm drafting Harper here today. This is definitely one of my favorite figures in my collection too. After years and years of wanting this figure, I finally have the NXT Seth Rollins Elite in my collection. So today I am drafting Seth Rollins to the brand. The next person I'm drafting is actually the first figure I got when I got back into collecting. It is Ali. Mustafa Ali is one of my favorite wrestlers going right now. Had to pick him up in the collection. I also really dug this color scheme for Ali. I kind of did want the yellow figure though that he had. I believe that was the regular version and this is the chase figure. But hey, Amazon sent me this version, so I got this version. Up next in the draft, I'm taking Daniel Bryan. That's right, D-Bry is coming to the brand today. This figure was actually one of my most recent figures I got. Jeff Hardy, but it is Survivor Series 2007, I believe, Elite. And this is one of my favorite figures I have right now. I was so big into Jeff Hardy at the time of this figure being actually like a thing when it was back in Survivor Series 07. So big into Jeff Hardy. So I had to pick it up and he's being drafted here today. Again, another recent figure that I just picked up in my collection is actually this one and only Ricochet. This is a top talent elite Ricochet that I found at Kroger of all places. So I had to pick him up. I have never had a Ricochet in my collection. Had to scoop him up. Absolutely love this figure. And now Ricochet is being drafted to the brand. When I got back into collecting, I knew I needed to pick up a Cedric Alexander figure. And this figure is one of my favorite in my collection. The attire is so cool. And I cannot wait for Cedric to get a Hurt Business figure. I hope it's an elite. But nevertheless, Cedric Alexander is being drafted here today. If y'all know me, y'all know that Sami Zayn is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time as well. So Sami Zayn is definitely being drafted. I love this figure, man. One of my favorite to actually play with. And when you draft one, you can't not draft the other. Give me Kevin Owens. I really need to get a new Kevin Owens figure, man. This figure has been busted up so bad for so long. But nevertheless, Kevin Owens has been drafted here today. I'm just a sexy doll. Sexy doll. Wait, that's Kurt Angle's. Oops. Nevertheless, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, has been selected. Have you noticed that all these figures are elites, by the way, outside of the AEW Jazzwares figure and the Samoa Joe from Toy Biz? And also the R3 Rock and the Jax Ruthless Aggression era Brock Lesnar. I suppose in the same light, you can't not draft Triple H when you draft Shawn Michaels. So Hunter Hearst Helmsley is coming to the brand. I drafted Cassius earlier, so let me go ahead and draft his homeboy Cesaro real quick. The Kangs of Wrestling are coming to the brand. Now, I'm not going to do a tag title, so technically there is no tag teams. However, if there was, you best believe DX versus the Kings of Wrestling would be lit. Up next, we got the current Intercontinental Champion, Big E, and this figure is Langston. Let me tell you, I love this Big E Elite, man. This was his very first Elite. It's one of my favorite attires Big E's ever had. Loved his solo run. Definitely taking Big E in this draft. My second to last pick in the draft is the phenomenal AJ Styles, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this was AJ Styles' second Elite figure. I believe this was his second figure. I don't think it was his first. His first was definitely that Rumble attire, but nevertheless, AJ Styles has been drafted today. And last but not least, I could draft Adam Cole, baby. I could draft Bobby Fish, but instead, I'm gonna draft Kyle O'Reilly. Now, I really want to get the new Elite Kyle O'Reilly because this head scan on the original Ultimate Edition, not Ultimate Edition, was it Ultimate Moments? It was a 3-pack with Bobby Fish and Adam Cole. This head scan on Kyle just is not that good compared to the new head scan we have for Kyle O'Reilly. But nevertheless, Kyle O'Reilly is our last draft pick here today. I'm going to be using the WWE Championship as my main title. We're also going to be using the Raw Women's Championship, which I don't have around me. I can't find it for some reason, but I do own that championship. So as always, the number one draft pick per division is going to be the starting champion. So Brock Lesnar and Alexa Bliss are our starting champions. So kicking off our first pay-per-view, we are at Money in the Bank. We're opening up with a steel cage match between The Rock and Evan Bourne, with The Rock picking up the big win. We then have Alexa Bliss retaining her championship against Charlotte Flair here at Money in the Bank. Kevin Owens is actually the Mr. Money in the Bank. Oh my goodness, what a stacked lineup that was, as you had AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Kofi Kingston, Seth Rollins, Big E, Randy Orton, Cassius Ohno, and Shawn Michaels involved. We then had Brock Lesnar defeating Daniel Bryan, and the main event of the evening was another Money in the Bank ladder match, but no briefcase was on the line in this one, but Jeff Hardy actually picked up the win in that ladder match. We are now at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Daniel Bryan has defeated Kevin Owens. Ricochet defeats Jeff Hardy. We have Harper defeating Triple H. You love to see that. The Rock defeats Kenny Omega. And something very funny about that is when I got that Rock figure, which X3 actually picked it up for me as a gift, I actually debuted that Rock figure in my Fig Fed as like a commissioner, and I had him do some stuff with Kenny Omega. So it's very funny that they're facing each other here. We have Kyle O'Reilly defeating Cesaro. Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne loses a championship match against Brock Lesnar. Imagine if Evan Bourne would have picked up the win. That'd have been crazy. AJ Styles defeats Samoa Joe in what I'm sure was a banger. We then have Seth Rollins defeating Randy Orton, and then Alexa Bliss retains her women's championship against Charlotte Flair. Moving into SummerSlam, we kick things off with a steel cage match between Brock Lesnar and Evan Bourne. I don't think you want to get locked into a cage with Brock Lesnar unless you're going for the ankle lock. Nevertheless, Ricochet does defeat Jeff Hardy. We have Cassius Ohno losing to Cedric Alexander. Harper loses to Sami Zayn. We have Kyle O'Reilly defeating Kenny Omega, another match that I love using in my figure fed. We then have Samoa Joe defeating Ali. Randy Orton loses to Cesaro. Big E defeats Kofi. We have AJ Styles defeating Kevin Owens. The Rock defeats Triple H. Seth Rollins defeats Daniel Bryan, and Charlotte Flair wins a triple threat match with Alexa Bliss and Billie Kay. Why Billie Kay is here, I do not know. As we enter Hell in a Cell, Evan Bourne has defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Oh my goodness. Moving forward though, Randy Orton does defeat Jeff Hardy. We have Ricochet defeating Harper. Samoa Joe defeats Triple H. Cesaro defeats Kyle O'Reilly. AJ Styles defeats Kevin Owens. We have Daniel Bryan losing to Seth Rollins. The Rock defeats Shawn Michaels. And in the main event of the evening, Charlotte Flair defeats Alexa Bliss in a Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Women's Championship. Kicking off Super Showdown, Air Boom faces each other. It's like I'm booking my figure fed. Kofi Kingston defeats Evan Bourne to win the WWE Championship. Let me tell you, by the way, Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne be having bangers in my fig fed. I'm just putting it out there. Cedric Alexander does defeat Kevin Owens here tonight. We then have Cassius Ohno defeating Ali. Another match I run quite a lot in my fig fed. We have Alexa Bliss winning back the Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Cesaro defeats Kyle O'Reilly. Samoa Joe defeats Triple H. Jeff Hardy loses to The Rock. We have Randy Orton losing to Daniel Bryan. Brock Lesnar defeats Kurt Angle. And then AJ Styles defeats Seth Rollins in the main event of the evening. Kicking off Survivor Series now, Evan Bourne defeats Randy Orton in the opening contest. Cassius Ohno defeats Ricochet. We have Ali defeating Samoa Joe. Charlotte Flair defeats Alexa Bliss for the Women's Championship. The Rock, Triple H, Kyle O'Reilly, and Shawn Michaels defeat Big E, Cedric Alexander, Harper, and Jeff Hardy. We then have Kevin Owens losing to AJ Styles. Kofi Kingston defeats Daniel Bryan to retain the WWE Championship, mind you. Seth Rollins does defeat Cesaro in the main event of the evening. Kicking off tables, ladders, and chairs now, Daniel Bryan defeats Randy Orton in the opening contest. Alexa Bliss loses to Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship in a tables match. We have Sami Zayn defeating Cedric Alexander. Cassius Ohno defeats Shawn Michaels. Kenny Omega defeats Ali. We have Kyle O'Reilly defeating Cesaro. Kurt Angle defeats Seth Rollins. Ricochet defeats Jeff Hardy. Samoa Joe defeats The Rock. Triple H defeats AJ Styles. Brock Lesnar defeats Evan Bourne. In the main event of the evening, Kevin Owens loses to Kofi Kingston for that WWE Championship in a TLC match, but I don't think Kevin Owens cashed in. We have now arrived to the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and we open things up with Shawn Michaels defeating Randy Orton. Charlotte Flair defeats Alexa Bliss for the WWE Women's Championship. Kenny Omega loses to Kyle O'Reilly. We have Daniel Bryan defeating Cesaro. Jeff Hardy defeats Ricochet. The Rock defeats Samoa Joe. AJ Styles defeats Triple H in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Seth Rollins defeats Kevin Owens. And then we have the men's Royal Rumble match as our main event. But who won the Rumble? Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble. Why did I not think that would happen? As we roll into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view now, Samoa Joe does defeat Shawn Michaels in the opening contest. We have Ricochet defeating Jeff Hardy. After that, Kurt Angle defeats Kenny Omega. We then have Seth Rollins winning the WWE Championship in an Elimination Chamber match featuring Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, Seth Rollins, The Rock, Cesaro, and Big E. After that, Brock Lesnar defeats Randy Orton. We have AJ Styles defeating Triple H. And in the main event of the evening, Kevin Owens defeats Kyle O'Reilly. Moving into Fastlane now, we open things up with Shawn Michaels, the Royal Rumble winner, defeating Samoa Joe in what I can only assume would be an absolute bop. We then have Sami Zayn defeating Kurt Angle. Cedric Alexander defeats Kenny Omega. Randy Orton defeats Kyle O'Reilly. Daniel Bryan defeats Cesaro. Charlotte Flair retains the Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss. Jeff Hardy defeats The Rock. And then we have Seth Rollins defeating Kevin Owens, but it wasn't for the title. AJ Styles loses to Triple H. And in the main event of the evening, Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne defeats Brock Lesnar. Kicking off our last pay-per-view of this sim now, WrestleMania is here, and Samoa Joe defeats The Rock in a battle of the Samoans. We then have Charlotte Flair defeating Alexa Bliss for the Women's Championship. Jeff Hardy does defeat Cedric Alexander. Sami Zayn defeats Cesaro. Kyle O'Reilly defeats Randy Orton. We have Kevin Owens defeating Daniel Bryan. Kurt Angle defeats Kenny Omega. Kofi Kingston defeats Big E. We have Evan Bourne defeating Brock Lesnar. They were facing each other pretty much this entire sim. That's actually really cool. We then have AJ Styles defeating Triple H. In the main event of the evening, Shawn Michaels loses in a WWE Championship match to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was able to retain his championship at the very end of this sim. So ladies and gentlemen, like I always do, we kick things off here in the recap with Brock Lesnar being our starting champion. Evan Bourne then won the championship. Kofi defeated Evan for the belt. Seth defeated Kofi for the belt in the Elimination Chamber match. Moving the days held, you really can't tell because it's obviously a already made title, so you're not able to really see what happened with that stat. But moving forward, the Women's Championship was passed along from Alexa Bliss to Charlotte Flair to Alexa Bliss to Charlotte Flair. That was kind of obvious though, because obviously they're the only two women in the division. And Kevin Owens apparently cashed in at some point during the sim, but he didn't win the belt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what happens whenever I play WWE 2K20 Universe mode, but I only draft my action figures. If you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, and as always and forever, take it easy though, guys. Peace.